Hey, welcome back to another edition of NAHL Coaches Corner. I'm Alex Kyrias. Today we are fortunate enough to be joined by one of the most tenured head coaches in the league, from the Bismarck Bobcats, head coach Layne Sedevie. Layne, how you doing today?
Not bad, Alex. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So, Layne, looking back on this past year, you guys had a veteran group. It was a tremendous year for the league, but also for the Bobcats in general with NCAA commitments. And I'm wondering, as a team that is part of the leaders every year, with players earning NCAA commitments, I want to know from a coach's perspective what goes on behind the scenes with you, your assistants, and your relationship with the NCAA coaches in trying to make sure that these players get seen and ultimately committed.
Well, I think if you take the last part of your question, I think the league has done a fantastic job as far as getting our players seen in regards to our showcase, probably being one of the best that I think there is in the country. As you look at, just all the schools, I just think it's crazy how much it's grown to see every NHL team there now. And if players want to get seen, they've come to the right league. And I think that's probably first and foremost. Now, the second part is growing relationships with schools. And I think that's a big part of my job. And, Garrett obviously is not with me anymore, but moved on, took the job in Wichita. But, that's our job. Throughout the course of your career as a coach, you have to pick up the phone and you got to do the work behind the scenes in order to get the schools in your building or put a good word in for guys that are having success and doing a good job in your program. So I think there's a lot of work that goes in for a lot of these coaches in our league. And that's, most importantly, that's our job to get that done.
You did mention Garrett Roth, the new head coach of the Wichita Falls Warriors, your longtime assistant there in Bismarck, one of the more respected assistant coaches across the league, attended several NAHL coaches meetings. We've known him for a long time. What kind of pride do you feel in Garrett getting that head job in Wichita Falls? And then obviously it has to be a sense of loss as well, because he's been a big part of your program for many years, particularly when it comes to recruiting and things like that. But ultimately it's kind of a great feeling for you to be able to develop and befriend somebody like that, move them on. But ultimately there is a void there.
Well, I think there is. And I think it's probably it's a line right down the middle. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that, Alex, I grew up in Bismarck, played for Bismarck High School, and there's only 2 jerseys on the wall in this arena, and Garrett Roth is one of them. I mean, he's the all-time leading scorer. He's going to go down in history forever, in this program. So being a classmate at Bemidji State, the run that we had together, I'm thankful that, to be honest with you, that someone wanted to work with me that long, and you have that friendship and that relationship, and to see him want to move on. And I think most importantly, it's well deserved. It's something that he wants to prove himself. And I know he's going to do a good job. He did a great job for me. I gave him a lot of responsibility here. It's something I like doing as a head coach is, if you're going to have a staff, you want to have a good staff, because at the end of the day, you need a sounding board. You need to go back and forth with those guys. And I'm fortunate enough to have Garrett for so long and be able to use him as a resource, whether it was like you touched on, recruiting, or just day-to-day responsibilities that go behind the scenes. Obviously want to wish him a ton of success, best of luck, and I know he's going to do a good job.
Layne, let's rewind the clock about 3 months ago. You guys were in the thick of the Central Division playoff race again, contending with Aberdeen there for the top spot in the division. You had a veteran team full of NCAA commitments. Obviously, we were all disappointed when the season was canceled. And I know that they're coming back. There's probably a sense of unfinished business. But if you could, from your perspective, take us back. What has happened the last 3 months from the cancellation of the season, saying goodbye to your 1999-born players, and ultimately trying to prep right away for what is hopefully going to be a 2021 season?
Yeah, Alex, I think as a coach, you always want to debrief your team, and you always want to have something to say. And I don't know if it's always the right thing to say, or you're looking for something to say. But, I don't know. We had a great start to the year. We had some injuries, and we started to get rolling again. I don't know. We were 10-1 in our last 11 or whatever it was. We started to peak at the right time. This group, I think, was going to be a special group. And to be honest with you, Alex, there's been a few times after a national championship and you had such a great year and you got so close that it doesn't work out, that maybe you don't have something to say right away to your team. I don't know. It's still a bit foggy for me on what to really say to guys. It's just such a gray area. It's an area that we've never been in. And I think you go from winning in Minot, I still remember it, and going off the bus, and the NBA season's canceled. And next thing you know, we're not going down to Aberdeen. We got all this momentum, and we've got optional practice, and then we're sending guys home for good. And it's just a whirlwind. Obviously, I think if you look at sports in general, I mean, you feel for all our 99s that maybe didn't have commitments, that we're going to make a push down the stretch here. And more importantly, every athlete, and whether it's ice hockey and NCAA seniors that don't get that year back. It's just, I don't know, Alex, to be honest with you, I don't know if I have a right answer for you. Just trying to take it all in and looking forward, just trying to do the best job that we can here. And we do have obviously returners coming back from a very veteran group and guys that moved on. And those guys are going to have big roles off of a team that I think was going to be very special come down the stretch.
That's well said, Layne. Sometimes it's just tough to find the words, especially what we've all been through here the last 3 months when you do have a special group like that. Quickly, what came up was the supplemental draft, and I know this was a new experience for you as an NAHL head coach. We've asked all the head coaches about the supplemental draft. Did you feel like it worked in establishing and creating some guys for you, some commitments for you, having the supplemental draft there in May, and then ultimately working towards what's going to be hopefully a tryout season here in a few short weeks, followed by the entry draft?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of a new area for us. We've kind of, at least as long as I've been in the league, it's been that single draft. But I think in these times we look for maybe new things, and I don't think there's a league that's doing a better job with what they're doing as far as the product on the ice right now. And I just think that's kudos to obviously everybody that's in your office right now. And I think it's a great draft. I mean, selfishly, we got the players that we wanted, and that's probably most importantly that what you're looking to do is you're looking to improve your roster. You're looking to build around what you have coming back as a returning core, and try and build the best hockey team that you can. And to have these 3 picks like we did, I think it sets us up moving forward into camp season here, and then obviously the draft on July 21st in a good spot.
Layne, talk about the importance of tryout camps and the process that it uses to build your roster. Obviously, you build a roster through several ways: tendering, the supplemental draft, the entry draft, but tryouts play an important role. And so that was my first question. My second question following up on that is, in your time as an assistant and now a head coach for Bismarck, is there a particular player that sticks out in your mind in all the years that you've been there that made the team via a tryout camp, went on to have success with the Bobcats, and maybe even into the NCAA?
Well, I think tryouts are, if you go back to the first part, Alex, I think they're extremely important. And the crazy part is we found so many good players over time in those tryouts. And that's, to me, you look at the process of building your team, and whether it's tenders and your draft picks, and the tryouts are as you sit back as a coach, you're working every Friday and Saturday night. You rely on your staff to build your notes and all that sort of stuff. But the first time for a lot of coaches that they are actually able to see these players is at our tryouts. And that's, I'm probably speaking for every coach. That's important. That's important for me. It's important for us as a staff to get a feel of, what areas that we need, and is this guy going to fit that role? I think those are all areas that you look to build in. As far as moving forward for tryout camps, I mean, it's every year we found a player, and I can go back to my first year: Ryan Jacobson, national championship; Dominic Panetta, Philip Starzinski, captain of mine, and most recently, you can take Carl Fish, one of the best human beings that I've ever coached, and he came out of our camp, and that's just it's crazy, the success stories and the amount of Division I hockey players that come out of camps. And Carl's going to the University of Minnesota next year, and just a great quality kid, and they're getting a great hockey player. But I think it's the kind of the final piece for us as coaches and as staff when it comes to tryout camps and obviously building our team for the following year.
Layne, is somebody that's been doing this a while. You've had a lot of experiences, be it with the great city of Bismarck Mandan, that community there, or with the players or with the fans, the billet families. I'm wondering, as an NAHL head coach, what are maybe a couple of the things that you like the best about coaching in the NAHL or coaching junior hockey in general?
Well, I think it's for me, it's important that I think it's just hard for me to put into words. Alex, growing up here as a kid, standing on the rail watching this team, and this team's been around a long time, and kind of gives me chills still to this day that we can have this product in this city, and this city has supported this team for so long. I think to me, that's so special. You look at the billet families that have been with us for so long. I mean, there's so many things that go behind the scenes that need to be thanked and all that sort of stuff. For me, it's moving players on, Alex. We give these kids an opportunity to play at the highest level and to move on and fulfill their dreams. I think that's probably the most important thing. I think the second thing for myself is there's a lot of issues for players that happen throughout the year. And I know there's a lot of stuff that happens on the ice, but I think building, at least for me, and I know speaking with you now and having little ones, but that's your family. And, having a little girl now and being able to have these young men interact with my family and being able to help them off the ice in certain situations. It's not easy all the time, and being able to have your door open and to me, really develop these guys as young men and leaders in our community. I think that's being able to have them at my house with my family and my little daughter to look up to them. I think you look at the coaching aspect that happens on the ice and all that sort of stuff. But I think when you take and you step back and you really appreciate the stuff that you can do for a young man when it's off the ice, I think that it just hits home for me.
Well said, Layne. Bismarck's lucky to have you. The league's lucky to have you. You're a very well-established coach in our league, and we wish you the best the rest of this summer. Good luck with your tryout camps, and we hope to see you on the ice right on schedule in September.
All right. Thanks a lot, Alex.
All right, Layne Sedevie here on another edition of NAHL Coaches Corner.